What's popping? Hey, yo, it's Nate Dogg 916 coming at you live from Sacramento. Hey, man, y'all know what to do, man. Hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell if you want to see more of this fire content, man. And if you guys got somebody that y'all want on the channel or that y'all think is be a good story, no matter the struggle, man, if you made it out of it and you prospering in life, I want to talk to you about it, man. Hit me in the comments, man. And you can also contact me on Instagram at nate.dog916 or Sandman at Sandman2788. My email and everything else should be in the description. Ask Nate Dog 916 at gmail.com. Get at me, man. It's nothing. I'll respond. Believe me. If I don't get at you today, I'll get at you tomorrow. But today we got one for you, man. We got another fire interview coming at you live and direct, man. So first and foremost, without further ado, man, what they call you, where you from, brother?
Hey, I appreciate you. First of all, Nate, much respect to you. My name's DC. I grew up as King Irish. Originally from Chicago, mostly raised down here in Florida. I'm a combat veteran, Desert Storm.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Appreciate you. Prison veteran of about 11 straight. And yeah, man, that's my story, really. Got out of the military and came home, and it all went downhill from there real quick, man. You know, it's just the way it is sometimes.
Okay, so yes, sounds like you lived a pretty fruitful and amazing life.
I am now.
At least interesting. At least it sounds like you've been through some stuff.
Yeah, a few things.
I mean, let's start out early, man. Let's start out early with your childhood, man. How was your childhood? Your childhood was in Chicago, you said?
No, it was mostly here in Florida.
Okay.
I lived in Chicago. My parents divorced, you know, typical story. Came to Florida when I was about 6 or 7 or so.
Oh, okay.
And just with me and my mom and a couple of my sisters, but they ended up moving. Mm-hmm. Yeah, came to Florida as a young buck. Great childhood, man. Stepfather, you know, in and out, a couple of them here and there.
Okay.
But no big deal. And yeah, I was good in school up until about 6th, 7th grade, and they shipped me back to Chicago. And it was once I went back to Chicago when I was about 12, man, got gang affiliated and ran with the Kings up there for a couple of years.
Chicago,
yeah, Latin Kings,
the
man.
Kings, the Latin Kings.
I'm a white boy that from repping the Kings, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you know, a lot of my followers and my supporters might not know what that is when you said the Kings. I just wanted to clarify it. So you got linked up. So you got linked up with the Kings. Was there any kind of like initiation process that you have to go through to be a part of the Kings?
I got jumped in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You do get jumped in.
Yeah. I got jumped in when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got jumped in by 5 dudes that were older than me, a lot bigger than me. I'm a small cat. I ain't no size to me at all.
Right.
Back then, anyway. I'm a little bigger now, but yeah. I got jumped in, initiated pretty solid, and I was putting in work right away, man. I was putting in work before I got jumped in, but they made it official for me.
Right.
And,
at 12? Did you say 12 or 14?
12.
12 years old. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
12 and going into 13 years old is really when everything started kicking off for me, man. It was a couple brutal years up there, you know, and I was living in the hood, South Chicago. It was rough. Yeah. But I came back to Florida. I got kicked out of school up there, 9th grade. That was my last year of school, was 9th grade, first year of high school. Got booted out of that school, and I ended up running away from Chicago, and I caught the first Greyhound bus back to Florida.
Right.
And 15 years old, I was already on my own living. I came back to Florida and hooked up with a bunch of my old crew that before I went up in Chicago, and it was into the shit down here, and it escalated for a couple of years.
So there was Kings in Florida too?
Not
or just
really.
your friends, your old friends?
Yeah, a bunch of my old friends. People that kind of, we were, you know, flags were tied with a few groups down in Florida, and I jumped right off in with them.
Okay.
And yeah, it was pretty wild, man. I mean, but yeah, there wasn't hardly that many Kings down here when I first started my stuff up down here.
Okay.
And but But yeah, it was wild times back then, man. It's a long time ago. I'm
so you
46.
come back to Florida. You're 46, you said?
Yeah, I'm 46.
Okay, we still young. We still young. Hey,
yeah, I don't feel like it.
oh, you know, you only got me by 1 year, man. So yeah, I'm right behind you, man.
Right.
I'll be 45 next month. You 14, 15 years old. You back in Florida. You running with your old crew. Did you end up getting snatched up on some juvenile stuff or anything like that, or you just was rocking?
No, man, I got a juvie record. Well, hopefully it's all expunged now. I don't know, but a long time ago. But yeah, I had a lot of charges growing up as a kid, man. I was in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
A couple felonies. At 15, they scooped me up on a burglary charge. I ended up doing 6 months in a place called Okeechobee, which isn't around no more. It was a boys' home, like 18 and under. But I did a B plan on that, 6 months B plan.
Okay.
And got out of there. I stayed out of trouble for a little bit, and just a lot of small stuff back then. It just was escalating.
Well, since I got somebody on here from Florida, right, and I didn't get to ask the last person I talked to from Florida, white girl, right? But I'm gonna ask you. There's something a word you guys use out there, JIT, and I've heard about JIT camps, right?
Yeah.
So out here we got something called a boys ranch, right? And we have camps out here for juvenile boys or whatever. Is that the same thing as a JIT camp? Is JIT just a kid? Does that just mean a kid camp? JIT camp?
Yeah, JIT is just a slang for jitterbug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, jitterbugs. The young cats running around, running crazy.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So when people say JIT, they're just talking about a kid, a young cat, young wild kid.
Not like faking a jitterbug,
Oh, okay. All right. See, see, I'm learning. I'm learning the slang as I go. Okay, yeah. So eventually you become 18, and
yeah.
You figure out.
I was 17 years old. I was sitting in the county jail, Broward County. And this is in 92.
Okay.
Actually, all right. Well, yeah, 92 and 91, going into 92, right around in there.
Yeah.
My memory ain't all the greatest. It's hard for me to remember dates. It's a while ago.
Yeah.
But sitting in the county jail at 17, and I was on the JIT floor, juvenile floor, I guess. And they started up a boot camp program for the county, and I was in the very first Broward County boot camp program.
Okay.
And Alpha 1 representing. But that was a 90-day. It was a 120-day program. But if you did all right, you could do 90 days and get released. Most of the time, they let you out on probation and stuff. Well, I did really good in the boot camp program, and I was still sentenced to more county jail time after my boot camp program.
Right.
And I went in front of the judge, and a lot of the instructors were all corrections guards. They're all cops that were our instructors.
Oh,
but a lot of them were ex-military guys, and they're like, man, you got to go to the military. We can get you in. So at 17, I signed up, got a judge's order, and I turned 8. Well, 2 days after I turned 18, it was a Friday. That next Monday, off to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I went, man. 82nd Airborne.
82nd Airborne. Oh,
yeah.
Army.
I started my military endeavors then.
Okay, so I mean. So you did So you enlisted into the United States Army.
Yes.
First of all.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. I needed that structure at that time, and
yes, sir.
And it felt good joining and having a good reason to go do something, having a cause,
So basically, you got trained to be a beast, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Because what came after the military wasn't all that great.
But okay, first of all, before we get to that, you did serve a tour in across the water, right?
I was in Kuwait. Yeah, I spent about 7 months in Kuwait.
Wow.
And I got injured over there. We were firefighting. We were there at that time at the end of 91. It was when Desert Storm was going on, and they were bombing a bunch of the oil wells in Kuwait, setting them all on fire. Right. So I was on kind of a fire brigade, and we were capping all these wells off and, turning the fires off. But we got hit by an RPG, and got hurt, blew up my arm pretty decent.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I got awarded a Purple Heart.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's one of them things.
Yeah.
But I got more street Purple Hearts than I do have the military Purple Heart.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I came home at the beginning of '92, and I got in trouble pretty fast. I don't think I was out of the military for 7 months, and I caught a couple cases.
So you got a medical discharge for your shoulder getting blasted?
I was medically discharged.
Okay, so then you come home, you're discharged, and it's like you hit the ground damn near running.
Yeah, both feet pounding ground fast. Yeah.
Now you're somebody. Just for the viewers can get a picture from the way I'm getting the picture. So you're basically someone that's been given all this structure and all this training and all this discipline, and you're left with no purpose at a point.
Yeah, they kicked me right on out and sent me back to the hood of South Florida.
Oof.
Yeah, and right away I got back with all my friends, and
right.
The little bit of time I was gone and overseas, my homeboys they were acting it up, man. They were building, and I mean it got pretty intense for a little bit once I got home.
Right.
It was pretty old times, man. But,
okay.
Yeah. So came home and caught a case and went on the run for a little while. They finally caught up with me. I was actually over in your neck of the area in California for a while.
You was out here in Cali?
Yeah, I was trying to hide, man.
Yeah, you got to, right?
yeah, and they ended up catching me out in California in Santee, just outside of San Diego.
Okay.
And I got extradited back to Florida.
Okay, so this was a case that you caught out there and you ran all the way out here hiding from.
Absolutely.
Okay, can you tell us about the case?
Yeah, hit a jewelry store with another cat. It wasn't supposed to go down like how it went, but it is what it is. It went down, and but it hit a store, and good old Fort Lauderdale, and got away.
Right.
Co-defendant at the time, he turned state's evidence on me. He got caught a couple months later, and told him everything, man, and pretty much pinned it on me. They didn't really have greatest video back then, but they had enough to convict me of it.
Right.
So I heard I had warrants for my arrest, and the cops were looking for me. And I skipped town, man. Hauled ass.
Got that damn right.
Yeah. They ended up catching me. I was on the run for about 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
And right around in there, and they ended up catching up to me. They always do, you know.
Eventually.
Not always, but they got me.
Right. Oh, they got me too, so I get it.
Yeah. So I came back to Florida, and I sat in the Broward County Jail for a couple of years.
So you fought the trial. So you took the case to trial.
Yeah, I took it to trial. Yeah.
So,
and it was an armed robbery, firearm charges, a lot of gun charges I had.
Right.
Yeah, I took it to trial and I lost. Gave me 29 and a half years.
Ooh, 29 and a half years. So I'm assuming that in 2.5 years in Broward County Jail, and I only can go by what I've heard about Broward County. I heard it's turned up, according to our slang out here. I heard it's turned up in there. It
was a shithole.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things in the news now about the Florida prisons and stuff now. But I'm assuming that you've seen some activities in that county jail that was rough.
Yeah, it was dangerous, man. Yeah, anybody who knows the county jail back then in the early mid-90s, they know the 6th and 7th floor was no joke. And I did all my time on the 6th and 7th floor in the county there. 2.5 years on those floors, and it was terrible, man. You know, lots of fights.
Yeah.
Lots of extortion.
Okay.
You know, I was still fairly young. You know, I was only 20 years old.
Right.
And yeah, it was pretty dangerous times. A lot of people didn't really mess with me too much. I knew a lot of people from the hood that were in there.
Right.
And I was in really good shape, you know.
Right. Fresh out the Army. Yeah. You fresh out. It's good.
So yeah, I didn't really have too many problems. A couple fights, but you're gonna get that anyway.
That happens.
You know?
If you don't get in a fight, something wrong.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a shithole. It really was. That place was a dungeon. It was. They could rip it down and blow that place apart right now, and I wouldn't be upset.
Absolutely. So you're there 2.5 years, and eventually you get the guilty verdict of you say 29 and a half years.
29 and a half, yeah.
29 and a half years.
Now, see, this is back before all the 85% came out.
Right. No. Yeah. I got you on that.
In Florida back then, when you got prison sentence, right away they took a third off your time.
Okay.
And I ended up doing 11 straight.
Okay.
I got out for about 6 or 7, 8 months, right around in there, and ended up catching a violation charge. I ended up going back for another 14 months.
Okay.
Which was no sweat, but
yeah,
that's
still 14 months.
Yeah, that's later on in the story, I guess.
Okay, so they end up telling you 29 years, whatever it is, time to go to prison.
Yeah.
So did they ship you out, or did they ship you to a reception center, or did they send you straight to a prison?
After I got sentenced, I was there for a couple more weeks in the county jail, waiting on the prison run, and I went to South Florida Reception Center in Miami.
Oh, okay. So they do have a reception.
I knew I was going to have to do at least a dime piece on that. But yeah, they shipped me to South Florida Reception Center, and maybe a month or 2 months. I'm not exactly remembering on that one, but and then I went to a permanent camp. They shipped me up to the Panhandle of Florida. To the
Panhandle. Do you? I'm sure you remember the name of the first place the first yard you hit, or first camp you hit?
Yeah, Washington Correctional Institution.
Okay, Washington Correctional. Is this a camp or a locked facility?
It's a major facility.
Okay. Oh, so it's a locked facility.
Yeah, it's a full running facility. It was brand new at the time when I got there.
Right.
From what I heard, now it's a reception center. I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's been a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, I did a few months there, and I got into inciting a riot case. I hooked up with a lot of my brothers over there, and it was on and popping right away because it was a brand new camp.
Right.
We were getting on a lot of people,
Right.
And I actually they shipped me back down to mid-state of Florida to Charlotte Correctional, and I was on CM for 3 years. Lockdown. It's kind of, I guess you would kind of consider it the shoe.
Oh, a shoe. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you rocking. You I'm assuming this is like level 4.
Yeah, it was level 6, level 7, something like that.
So what's the highest level?
I think level 8 is the highest in Florida.
Oh, okay.
They don't go by levels too much down here.
Okay.
It's custody. You got minimum, medium, and closed.
Okay, so closed is like max.
Yeah, it's closed is just like max custody back then.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how it's all run now, so.
Oh yeah. We only can speak on what we live now. What's going on now? I don't know what they doing in level 4 right now because I ain't there.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I can make a phone call and find out though.
Right. But yeah, I did my 3 years in CM, and I got out. I stayed on the compound for a couple months and shipped me right back to the Panhandle.
Back up to Washington.
No, I ended up going to ACI, Apalachicola.
Apalachicola.
A lot of people are calling it Apalachie.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh because I never heard that before.
Yeah, I hear that. I've heard of that. I've heard of Appalachia. Yeah, they talk about that a lot.
Yeah, it's Apalachicola. That's the whole name of the place.
Oh, okay.
ACI, Apalachicola Correctional Institution.
So you're doing year after year here.
Yeah, I did about 3.5 years straight there, and I got a good term review. I did a year clean, no trouble, and I ended up going to a private. They shipped me out of the blue one day, woke me up in the middle of the night, early in the morning.
Right.
Pack your shit, you're out of here, and walked up to the Sally Port and to the main gate, and there was only a couple of us. Well, they were opening up a new prison in Panama City Beach, or Panama City, and called Bay Correctional. It was a private prison.
Right.
It was ran by CCA, Corrections Corporation of America.
Okay.
And it was brand new. I was the 7th person to walk into that joint.
Ooh.
So they wanted kitchen workers. At the time at ACI, I was working in the kitchen. So that's like the first people they bring into the new prisons are kitchen workers, and work crews and stuff.
All the people that know what to do already to run the facility.
Pretty much, yeah. So I went to Bay CI, and I spent about 3 years there, and it was a private prison, man. It was sweet. Let me tell you, if you got to do time,
right?
That was everybody wanted to go there at the time, and it was cake. It had an inside gym. It was AC, which is unheard of down here in Florida, having AC.
Okay.
It was all 2-man cells. Man, it was an all right place to do some time if you had to do time.
So out of all this time, so this is what, 36, 9, we had like almost to 10 years now.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some time you've seen like something pop off that was big?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
I
you
was
either
involved
did or participated in or seen something that you could share with us that
man. Yeah, I guess the most thing that sticks in my mind is when I was at Gulf Correctional, another prison up there. We used to. It's in Weewaw, Hitchcock, Florida, way up in the Panhandle. I only did a few months there, and
right.
I got locked up and transferred out of there. But yeah, I was, man, Gulf Correctional. That place brings back some memories. But standing on the rec yard, and I remember it got kind of quiet. And I knew something was about to go down, and I'm standing near the basketball courts, just hanging out with a couple of my homies and stuff.
Right.
And dude got a piece of rebar rammed through his back of his neck. It was a pretty good sized piece of metal, and it came out the front of his throat.
Oh wow!
And
yeah.
He was like leaning up against the goalpost for the basketball hoop, and he didn't fall. He stood there and he stayed on his feet for a little bit. He was dead on his feet, literally. Wow. And yeah, I'll never forget that. I had dreams about that a few times, man.
Yeah, it's got to be
that was the first person I seen killed in the system.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't the last. He was the first and the most memorable one. It was pretty wild. Piece of rebar right through his neck.
Yeah, that's a hard way to go, man.
Man, yeah, and nobody helped. I mean, everybody just walked away. You know, there ain't no helping somebody in that position, man.
No.
You know?
Your best bet is to stay away anyway. But
yeah, they're paying a debt off or something.
Right. And their debt, unfortunately, was with their life.
Yeah.
So my question, okay, so after all this time, excuse me, after all this time, you get close to when you're supposed to get out.
Yeah.
You get close. Is the mindset still, I'm turned up till I hit the gate, or did you start slowing down and relaxing and kicking back, or was you just turned up all the way until the gate opened?
Well, what happened, I went to the Bay Correctional, the private prison in Panama City.
Yeah.
From there, I got work release. Where it's a small little, it's not fenced in, a small little unit. It looks like it was like an old hotel up there in Panama City. And I still had a few years on my sentence to go. Right. My gain time wasn't catching up to my release date time,
Right.
But so I still had a few years. And so I figured I can go to work release and I'm going to come out with a lot of money.
Right.
And I ended up violating work release. And I wasn't where I was supposed to be on my job site. And, I worked at a big shipyard up there in Panama City Beach. And they violated my work release status and they sent me back behind the gate.
Oh, yes.
And so I did another year or so behind the gate. And by that time, my release date was coming. I had a few months left and I got released from Gulf Correctional.
Oh, okay.
And, but I had a few months left and I'll never forget it. This is why I really don't mess with too many people out on the streets anymore.
Right.
The crew I hung out with, I was getting ready to go home in a couple months, and they put me on a mission. And now these are a bunch of dudes doing life and stuff, natural lives, and a lot more time than I had left, and I had just pulled in 10 years.
Right.
And I was solid on all my stuff,
Right.
And they put me on a mission with that little bit of time left. And I did what I had to do.
For sure.
And I ended up getting caught. They only gave me 60 days in the box on that, and they took 6 months of gain time. So I went from having 4 months left to having almost a full year to do again.
Right.
And, yeah, that's pretty much when I stopped messing with a lot of people.
Right.
It was just a dirty business in there.
Oh, yeah.
And people get jealous when they see people getting ready to go home, man, especially when they have a lot more time than that person,
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't want to see people go home, which is a sad thing, man. You're supposed to be brothers with a lot of people.
Yeah.
You done work for them. You stayed solid the whole time, and they put you under the gun like that, Yeah,
it's a fucked up situation.
That happens. Man. Yeah. But I got released,
Right. So then, so you finally get to the point where it's time for your release date.
Yeah.
They tell you, Irish report to, I'm gonna just say Irish report to the R&R for release, or however they do it there. Usually, get escorted to release. You walk out the gate that first day after 10 years, 11 years?
11 straight, yeah.
11 straight. What's the first day? The first day. Talk to us a little bit about the first day out. What's the first thing you go to do?
I remember it very well. My dad picked me up. My dad and my stepmom. Now my dad my dad pulled 32 years in prison.
Wow.
In Illinois.
Oh,
he did 32
shit.
straight. And he did them from before I was born. I'm a product of the prison system.
Good
Yeah,
shit.
I was conceived in a prison cell.
Are you a family visit baby?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of odd, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, so my dad he got out almost, I'd say, just under a year before I got released. My dad got released.
Oh, okay.
So I hadn't seen my dad at all. It's not like I ever got
Right.
visits. I never got any visits from my dad because
Right.
he was locked up. But I got out and he was there with my stepmom, and they're sitting over there by the car. I come out the gate, and he looks over at me. He goes, "You smell that?" And I was like, "I smell what, Dad?" He's like, that free air. And I got goosebumps now thinking about that. You know,
Oh, yeah, man.
I'll never forget either. And it's very true, man, that the smell of the air is different walking out the gate. You know, it's just totally different, man. But yeah, from there, it was early in the morning.
Yep.
And where I was at in Gulf County, Gulf Correctional, we had the TVs all the time. And there's always the local commercials for these steakhouses and restaurants. And man, for a couple of years, I've been watching this steakhouse. They say you could cut this steak with a fork. You know,
Oh.
I told my dad all about it. I was like, "Dad, you got to bring me to this place." And he brought me, and right when the waiter came over, it was in afternoon. They had just opened up. We were out front waiting, and I wanted that food, man.
Hell yeah.
And, yeah. So the waiter comes over and he's like, "What would you like?" I was like, "First, I want a steak. Bring it to me as fast as you can get it, and then we'll order something else." You know, I ended up chowing down two filet mignons.
Woo.
And my dad was sitting there and my stepmom, and they're both sitting there watching. They hadn't even touched her, and I'm done with mine. And he's like, "Man, you can breathe, you know, while you're taking bites.
Right.
You don't have to eat that fast no more."
Right.
Yeah, well, this is what I know right now, you know. And my dad understood.
Right.
You know, my dad's a trooper, and he understood exactly what I was going through, so he helped me out a lot. But I stayed in Panama City for a couple of days, and this Panama City is right outside of Gulf County, and they had a timeshare place up there, and they brought me, you know, Walmart, and I got some clothes, a couple shoes, and he gave me a bit of money, and I had a friend of mine that drove all the way up there. It's like an 8-hour trip from Lauderdale all the way up to Panama City Beach.